Hi, thanks for clicking on this video. We're here at Trinity Wesleyan Church so that we can unleash hope to those around us, and that includes you. So thank you for being a part of what's going on in our church, even through technology. We hope that this video is a blessing to you, and at the end, you're going to see some next steps and ways that you can get involved even after this video is done.
Life is full of flavors: sweet, sour, bitter, refreshing. But what if our lives had a flavor that came not from the world, but from the Spirit? Fruit of the Spirit isn't just about who you are, it's about who you're becoming.
When most of us hear the word goodness, we think of something small, right? Like we tell your kids, be good. I'm 34 and my mom still tells me to be good at the end of phone calls or FaceTime. Be good. Not that she thinks I'm bad or have done something wrong, she just says it. Teachers write good job if you did well on a test or a paper. If you're in trouble or frustrated, instead of cussing, you might say, oh, for goodness sake. We say, oh, that was a good burger. That's a good song. This is what we think goodness is that Paul writes about in Galatians chapter 5, verse 22, when he's talking about the fruit of the Spirit, the fruit of the Holy Spirit. Goodness doesn't mean good or behave, but it also does mean good or behave. So how can it mean something and not mean something at the same time? It's a paradox. The reason it doesn't mean it doesn't mean what we think it means, and it doesn't fully express what it was written as. We have watered down the meaning of good and goodness to where it doesn't mean what it used to mean. I had a hard time trying to figure out what the spirit of goodness is from the list of the fruit of the Spirit. Like, it felt too simple. Could it just be to be good and do good? Yes and no. Like, it infinitely multiplied beyond our understanding of goodness. Yes. Goodness is behaving and describing something that is above average, but why are we behaving? And what is above average that doesn't have anything to do with humanity? The goal of goodness is behaving and describing something above average, but the example of goodness we live by is Jesus. He's the reason we obey and how we know what is good. It's because of what Jesus has done for us and the example that was set for us by his life, death, and resurrection. It goes beyond that too, but we'll get into that soon. The goodness that Paul writes about in Galatians chapter 5, the fruit of the Spirit, isn't about being polite or behaving solely. It's about reflecting the very character of God. Goodness reflects the character of God, deeper than manners. It's more than human morals and doing something nice. That's the baseline, especially for Christians, but it rises to a standard that we can never reach without the Holy Spirit. It's the life of the Creator flowing through his creation. To really understand what goodness is, we got to go back to where goodness began. Genesis chapter 1. This is the very first words of the Bible, other than the Holy Bible on the front of the Bible, which was added later. But Genesis chapter 1, verse 1, it says, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Now the earth was formless and empty. Darkness was over the surface of the deep, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the waters. And God said, let there be light, and there was light. God saw that the light was good, and he separated the light from the darkness. This was day 1. Verse 6, it says, and God said, let there be a vault between the waters to separate water from water. So God made the vault, separated water from under the vault and the water above it. And it was so. God called the vault sky. It was day 2. Verse 9, it says, and God said, let the water under the sky be gathered to one place, and let dry ground appear. And it was so. God called the dry ground land. and gathered the waters he called sea. And God saw that it was good. Then God created trees and plants, and he saw that it was good. That was day 3. Verse 14, and God said, let there be lights in the vault of the sky to separate the day from the night, and let them serve as signs to mark sacred times and days and years. And let them be lights in the vault of the sky to give light on the earth. And God saw that it was good. Then God created the sun and moon to govern the day and night. Day 4. Verse 20. And God said, let the water teem with living creatures, and let birds fly above the earth across the vault of the sky. And God saw that it was good. Verse 24. And God said, let the land produce living creatures according to their kinds, the livestock, the creatures that move along the ground, and the wild animals, each according to its kind. And God saw that it was good. Verse 26, then God said, let us make mankind in our image, in our likeness, so that they may rule over the fish in the sea, and the birds in the sky, and the livestock, and all the wild animals, over all the creatures that move along the ground. God blessed them and said to them, be fruitful and increase in number, fill the earth and subdue it. Rule over the fish in the sea, and the birds in the sky, and every living creature that moves on the ground. Then God said, I give you every seed-bearing plant on the face of the whole earth, and every tree that has fruit with seed in it. They will be yours for food. And to all the beasts of the earth, and all the birds in the sky, and all the creatures that move along the ground, everything that has breath of life in it, I give every green plant for food. And it was so. God saw all that he had made, and it was, this is the change, you're thinking good, very good. That was day 6. Day 7, God rested, not out of tiredness or soreness, but out of admiration for what he had created. He just looked over it and just like, wow, this is nice. You know, like when you just mow the lawn, you look out over the lawn after it's mowed, not from tiredness, but from, yeah, I did that. You're just looking over your work. You're like, yeah, it feels good to have that. Every time God finished created something, he stopped to admire it. He looked at his creation and said, that's good. Now in Hebrew, good was this word, tov. Doesn't mean just nice or acceptable. It means beautiful, life-giving, and exactly as it should be. So when God says it is good, he's not grading his work like a teacher with a red pen and wishing it was different or wishing it was better. It is the best. It's exactly as it should be. He's saying this reflects my heart. It's doing what I designed it to do. It's bringing life where there was nothing before. In other words, goodness is creation working how God intended. So when Paul says in Galatians chapter 5, the fruit of the Spirit, goodness, he's talking about that same kind of goodness, not just behaving, but bringing life, not just avoiding sin, but creating blessing. It is returning to the highest order. It's going back to factory settings. It's going back and surrendering our will to God's will, like it was before Adam and Eve sinned. There is a pureness and a purity to it. Unharmed, not used for evil. The highest level of good there can be. And we know that we can't achieve that on our own. Generations and generations have tried and failed, tried and failed, tried and failed. Whether they were following God or not, they were trying to get back to factory settings. That's that hole in our heart that nothing can fill until you find that right piece that fits. That's why money doesn't give joy. Fame doesn't last. Sex is only for the moment. We try to find that right puzzle piece to return to our Creator, but nothing works until we submit to God's authority and lordship. Goodness is God's character flowing through us. When the Spirit lives in you, he begins to form in you that same creative, life-giving heart of God. It means when you bring peace into chaos, you're echoing Genesis 1. When you help someone instead of tearing them down, you're echoing Genesis 1. When you speak encouragement into someone's darkness, you're saying, let there be light in your life. These examples can get really devoid of God just by smiling at someone or saying, hey, I like your shirt. And that's being nice. There's nothing wrong with that. But goodness is giving direction to the light. It's showing them to go back to your Creator. It's showing them God's purpose and reigniting that purpose for them back into them. To show them the puzzle piece that they're looking for. Say, hey, I got it. I'm showing you. Yes, smile at people and compliment people. But goodness is going beyond niceties and giving the roadmap to the one who created that person. The Spirit of God inside you is doing what the Spirit of God did at creation, bringing order where there was chaos and life where there was nothing. That's goodness. I've said this many times, but Jenna and I are not agriculturally gifted. We are really, really good at killing plants. Like really, really good at killing plants. All plants except weeds. We are really good at giving weeds whatever helps them grow. When it's overgrown and tangled, it's wild, it's unproductive, it's chaotic, it's not in order, and can't be used for anything. But when someone who knows how to garden steps in, and they clear the weeds, water the soil, and prunes what's overgrown, it becomes fruitful again. That's what the Holy Spirit does with us. And that's what He wants to do through us. He turns our lives into gardens of goodness that bring life to other people. Goodness is not active. Or goodness is active, it's not passive. God didn't just think good thoughts in Genesis 1 and just like, just be nice. And He spoke. He worked. He formed. He filled. Goodness isn't passive, it's active. And too often we think being good means not doing wrong. But real goodness means doing what is right. Not just not doing what is wrong, but doing what is right. It means stepping in, not stepping back. It means standing up, not sitting down. It means making a difference, not just staying decent. That's why goodness is a fruit of the Spirit. It takes divine power to love people enough to act for their good. If you can be good on your own, that's willpower and morals. That's not goodness. We can get easily fooled into being good instead of having goodness. Like I follow rules. I always have. I follow rules to the T. If I'm not supposed to talk because it's a rule, I won't talk. If others are getting in trouble, this was in school, if others are getting in trouble, I don't do what they're doing because I hated getting in trouble. I cried when I went to the principal's office in elementary school because I thought I was getting in trouble. Aaron, you need to go to the principal's office. Ooh, Aaron's going to the principal's office. Turns out I was getting called to the principal's office because I was caught being good. It was a program at my school called Caught Being Good. That if another teacher saw you doing something nice or were respectful at school, you would get a little blue slip of paper from the principal that says Caught Being Good. I don't remember if there was anything else that came with it, but I got so many of those blue slips of paper throughout elementary school. I was being good, but I was too sneaky being bad. I was not a bad kid, but I was the class comedian. Not the class clown. The class clown was the loud person who would do anything for attention. They didn't care if they got in trouble. That's not me. I don't want to get in trouble. I was the class comedian. I was the quiet, shy kid who would whisper to someone, wouldn't it be funny if, And they pass it down, they pass it down, and they pass it down to the class clown. And no one would expect that I was the mastermind of the whole operation because I never got in trouble and I was quiet and shy. They wouldn't think Aaron was the person that did that. I remember in 10th grade, I almost got the police called on my whole class. I had a teacher named Mr. Prentice, and he taught geometry. He was also getting his doctorate in quantum physics, which I'm like, makes me want to sleep just thinking about it. He wasn't mean, but he was very by the book and boring. It was geometry. You can't really make it fun. One day we had a school convocation where they gave out bouncy balls at the end. Bad idea to give high school students bouncy balls right before the last class of the day. Again, I was the class comedian, not the class clown. I told someone next to me that we should all throw the bouncy balls at the whiteboard while Mr. Prentice is writing on it and catch them before he turned back around. You throw it, you catch it before he turns back around. And they passed it on to the class clowns, and everyone was in on it. Except me, the class comedian. I just watched the action. They threw the bouncy balls at the whiteboard and caught them before he turned around. Another time. And another time. That third time it happened, he didn't see anyone do it, but he said, if any of those bouncy balls hit me, he was going to call the police and press charges for assault. Everyone except me, the class comedian. No one would have guessed I was the mastermind. It was my idea, and everyone else executed the plan. I was good. I followed the rules, but I used the rules to my advantage. I'm going to have fun, but I'm not going to get caught. And we can become like that following God. I'm not gossiping, but did you hear about so-and-so? Oh, we should pray for them. Like, I'm not murdering people, but I scream and curse and yell at people in traffic. I'm not dishonoring my parents when they're looking. I'm not stealing cars or jewelry, but I'll take extra breaks throughout the day on company time. I'm not going to lie, but I'm also not going to tell the full truth. I'm not jealous of other people's stuff, but I have to get the new iPhone or the new shoes or the new boots. We play a game like, how close can I get to sinning without sinning? How much over the speed limit can I go before I get caught? How close to flirting with disaster can I go before I or others get hurt? It's not following a list of rules to obey, like do this, do that, don't do this, don't do that, because you can still follow the rules and not be good. You're living to lead a life of goodness that chases after the redemption and goodness and beauty as God had set in the beginning after Jesus' death and resurrection. That's what goodness is. Make it plain. Goodness is when you forgive someone instead of holding a grudge. When you give generously even when it's tight. When you tell the truth even when it's uncomfortable. When you volunteer your time to serve others. When you build, you repair, you encourage, you bless, and even correct somebody else. You're bringing Genesis 1 to life in 2025. Every time you do something that brings order, beauty, or blessing, God looks at it and said, it is good. But here's the problem. The enemy always twists what God calls good. 2 chapters later, in Genesis chapter 3, the serpent told Eve that the forbidden fruit was good for food and pleasing to the eye. Same word, good. But it was a different kind of good, one that looked good but led to destruction. That's what the world often sells as goodness. Do what feels good. Be true to yourself. Follow your heart. But that's not God's goodness. That's self-centered goodness. God's goodness says, do what's good for others. Be true to God. Follow his heart. Worldly goodness asks, does it make me happy? But God's goodness asks, does it make others whole? Does it return them to the Creator? Does it help them see their purpose? Are we going back to the original plan that God has for people's lives? Even after sin entered the world, God sure didn't stop being good. Psalm 23, it says, surely goodness and mercy will follow me all the days of my life. That word follow means to chase after, not just like, I'll be close, but to chase after. God's goodness doesn't sit still. It pursues us. It pursues us when the Lord is your shepherd, when you trust the peace of God, when you do not lean on your own understanding, when we dwell, when we search out goodness and apply the same goodness and care that God started the world with. That same spirit that chased you down now lives in you. And he's calling you to chase others down with goodness too. Be the person who pursues reconciliation. Be the person who brings hope into hopeless places. Be the person whose presence makes people say, God must be near. You don't have to create a universe to reflect God's goodness. You just have to let him create through you. That's when you build up instead of tear down. That's creation. Speak life instead of criticize. That's creation. Choose generosity over greed. Use your skills and resources to bless others. Help others come closer to God. And yes, that means correcting people and pointing out things at the right time, speaking truth in love. And every time you do, God looks at your life and says again, it is good. Goodness will cost you something. Your pride, your finances, your time, your will. But here's the takeaway. Goodness isn't something you perform. It's something God produces in you. It's not the result of willpower. It's the result of walking with the Spirit. In Genesis 1, God created a world that was good. In Galatians 5, God is creating a people who are good. The same Spirit who hovered over the waters at creation now hovers in your heart, ready to bring the light into darkness and beauty out of brokenness. So instead of asking, am I being good? Ask this question instead. Is God's goodness being seen throughout me? Because when it is, we live like that, God looks at his world again and says, it is good. As we close today, I leave you with this passage from Romans chapter 12, verse 21. It says, do not be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good. If you want to take this even further this week, jot down these questions. Who can I bless this week in a tangible way? How can you go above and beyond? How can you bring purpose back into somebody's life? How can you bring light into someone's darkness? It's not just saying, oh, like, have a good day. No, it's being with somebody. It's understanding them, hearing their story, and bringing God into their story and show them God's been here. He's been waiting for you. It's the puzzle piece you're missing. And then the next question is, what's one area where I've settled for being nice instead of truly doing good? Take those questions to yourself, to your spouse, your family, your friends, whoever. Take them and discuss them. Have a great week.